The transfer window was winding down to its final hours when suddenly a bombshell exploded onto the scene. The reigning Premier League champions Manchester City were dealt with a massive blow as their star player Joao Cancelo shocked the world by joining the powerhouse of the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich. This loan move, as reported by The Athletic, will see Cancelo suit up for the German Giants until the end of this season. But this is just the beginning, as Bayern hold an option to make this loan a permanent fixture for a fee of a staggering €70 million. A true end to an era in Manchester where Cancelo's contributions played a pivotal role in securing back-to-back league titles under the guidance of Pep Guardiola. But why did he leave? Who will fill his shoes? And the question on every football fan's mind is, will he play against his former club in the Champions League? Cancelo blamed lack of game time in his first press conference as a Bayern player. Although he was a regular starter for City before the World Cup, he only started 2 league games after the World Cup, which resulted in a decline in his form. He was substituted at halftime in the game against Chelsea and never started a game for Man City after playing a full 90 minutes against Manchester United. In his statement to the media, he even clarified that his move had nothing to do with his relationship with Pep Guardiola. There have been rumors of a falling out between Guardiola and Cancelo. After the loss to Manchester United, Guardiola had openly questioned the hunger and desire of his players to win the title, and Cancelo was one of the senior players who found themselves on the bench more often than not. The Daily Mail reported a training ground bust-up between Cancelo and Guardiola, which further led to the decline in their relationship was the reason behind this. According to the internal reports, Cancelo reached out to Bayern himself through his agent and requested a transfer out of Manchester City. Guardiola operates with a policy that he never stops a player from leaving if a player wants to leave. The big question is, what changed after World Cup that caused a rift between the player and the manager? Number 1, change in tactics. Pep is known for changing his tactics mid-season. This makes it difficult for other teams to judge how they are going to play, and by the time teams figure that out, there's another change. Due to a change in tactics, Cancelo struggled in his unfamiliar role on the right side of midfield and was not defensively sound enough to play in the back three. The arrival of Erling Haaland changed Guardiola's tactics, and he has settled for a 3-2-2-3 shape in possession. This particular role was restrictive for Cancelo, and he was not as effective as other players in this position. Cancelo prefers playing in the left-back position, but when he was substituted at halftime against Chelsea, he was playing on the right-hand side. Chelsea made most of it and had a really good first half as Cancelo was struggling in that position. The Athletic reported he was furious after being hooked at halftime against Chelsea. In his post-match interview, Pep even said that, "I am so sorry for Joao. I asked him to play in a position he wasn't used to." Number 2, Juanma Lillo's departure. Guardiola's right-hand man was the mastermind behind Kyle Walker's transformation into a formidable right-back, and it was no different with Cancelo. During his time in Manchester, Lillo and Cancelo built a close relationship, and the Portuguese international flourished under his tutelage. However, with Lillo's departure to coach Al Sadd at the end of the season, Cancelo has struggled to maintain his form. It's as if a missing piece of the puzzle has caused his game to unravel. The absence of Lillo's guidance and leadership is palpable, leaving a noticeable void in Cancelo's game. Number 3, poor body language. After losing his place in the starting lineup to Lewis, complaints from Cancelo to his teammates were heard loud and clear. In the following game against Tottenham, he was named on the bench, and instead of joining his teammates on the team bus, he chose to sit alone in the dugout. Meanwhile, Guardiola was observing the body language of his players, looking for signs of discontent. The situation only escalated when, after a hard-fought victory over Arsenal, Guardiola referred to Cancelo as Mr. Cancelo in his post-match conference and hinted at a player in the dressing room who was not happy with Ake scoring the winning goal. It was clear who the manager was referring to, and the tension between Cancelo and the team reached a boiling point. So, can Cancelo play against Man City in the Champions League? With UEFA lifting the cup tie rule for players who have appeared for another club in the same season, the simple answer is yes. If Manchester City and Bayern play against each other in Champions League, Cancelo can play for Bayern against Manchester City. Although a reunion between City and Cancelo seems inevitable, as both teams must first navigate their way through their respective opponents, RB Leipzig and Paris Saint-Germain, before potentially facing each other. This hasty transfer could still come back to bite Guardiola. Who will replace him? With the transfer window shut now, Pep will need to find an answer within the team. Guardiola has deployed a rotating cast of characters in the fullback positions this season. Kyle Walker, Manuel Akanji, John Stones, Nathan Ake, and Aymeric Laporte have all been listed as either right or left backs on paper, but in reality, they've been interchangeable, shifting to different positions within the back three as needed. With this fluid approach to the defense, Guardiola is demonstrating his tactical flexibility and the versatility of his players. As far as Cancelo is concerned, this move has certainly taken everyone by surprise, and it will be interesting to see how he adapts to his new surroundings. Sadio Mane and Cancelo link up do sound exciting.